Hard to say. That doesn't sound familiar. I don't know if we have an ad there.
Yeah, I see them on Facebook all the time.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, a lot of like the local magazines, local news stations, stuff like that. We do have ads in Facebook, Google. We do have ads out there. So I'm sure you've seen some Chipeta Hollows homes and photos there.
We just saw Kent and Sandy. Now they're on.
I know, I told them I don't know if they'll be home in time, but to join if they can.
Does Google Meet take notes?
It does, yeah. Yeah, so it's going to take notes. That way we can send out like a recap of what people missed if they couldn't join. And then we are going to be recording this call as well. So if you don't want to be on the recording, feel free to turn your camera off. If you're okay being on there, you can leave it on. But yeah, we will record it and take notes. That way we can share it with anyone who missed the meeting. Hi, Bonnie.
Well, hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good. You guys can virtually meet. You guys are going to be neighbors, so you can meet virtually right now.
With Linda and Bob up there.
Yeah, Linda and Bob. Leslie and Alan, great to see you guys on the call as well.
Oh, I'm going to be turning off my camera soon because I'll be drinking coffee and doing things. And so.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel free to turn off your cameras. We do ask that you turn off your microphone just so there's no noises in the background.
Right. Well, good to meet everyone.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Bonnie.
Awesome. Hey, Stephanie, thanks for joining us too. Awesome. And we'll probably give it a couple more minutes and just make sure everyone's joined who wants to join. People may join a little late, but again, for anyone who hasn't heard it so far, we ask that you turn off your microphone during it just so there's no background noises. And this will be recorded. So if you don't want to be on the recording, you can turn off your camera as well. It's totally up to you.
Okay, we'll turn it off.
And Abby, I went ahead and started the recording for everybody.
Perfect. All righty. Well, we might have some people joining in late, but we will get started since you guys are all here now and ready. So yeah, just to kind of give you guys another recap of what this meeting is all about is myself. So I handle all of the sales and marketing for BOA Builders. Wendy, you'll see her on the screen as well. She is one of our owners here. And so she's going to review a lot of the community rules and regulations such as clubhouse rules, pool rules, pickleball, stuff like that. Some of the more important items from our CCRs. And then we will also cover some FAQs, any of our frequently asked questions that we get most often. And then at the end, we will do questions. So if you guys have any questions, you can type them into the chat box. It'll be on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So you can type some questions in there and we'll address them closer to the end of this call. Or you can save them for the end and ask, you know, via recording and video and all that as well. So whatever you prefer.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Our agenda, as Abby has said, we are going to do introductions again, one more time, just because everybody may not know me. We'll talk about those conditions, covenants. We'll do the FAQ and the Q&A here. And can everybody see my screen? Just making sure. Yep. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Excellent. So there I am, owner of BOA Builders, doing the development. We did the development and we're building the houses up there at Chipeta Hollows. We've done several other communities as well, but we are super proud of this one. And then, of course, Abby has introduced herself, and many of you already know her. She is all things sales and marketing, taking on our management of all of that. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to go through the CCRs. So this first part is going to be pretty bland and boring for most people. The CCRs, they have some specifics in them, but they are very, I tried to dumb them down because they're a lot of legalese, a lot of legal talk in them. So there's many more definitions than this, but I pulled out some of the most important definitions here. So association, that is the Chipeta Hollows Homeowners Association. Also, we say HOA, but in all the documents, it's also considered the association. So if I say association or I say HOA, those two mean the same thing. A courtyard lot refers to any lot in the community that's benefited or burdened by a courtyard easement. That is literally almost every single lot in the community. I don't know a lot that is not a courtyard lot that does not have an easement on somebody else's lot. Almost every lot does. So a courtyard lot is almost all of the 88 lots that will be in Chipeta Hollows. The Design Review Committee, that is separate from the Board of Directors. It can be also the Board of Directors. There does not have to be two separate, I guess, groups of people. It can be the same, but that Design Review Committee is going to approve all the requests and look at all the things related to any kind of request that you want to do in the courtyards, anything that you want to add, all the different things. And we'll go over that a little bit later, but they're the ones that are kind of reviewing all of the architecture. A maintenance area. So this is a maintenance area refers to the portions on a homeowner's lot that the HOA is responsible for. So that could include pathways, that includes your front yard landscaping. So that is all things the HOA takes care of. And we consider that and we call that a maintenance area. I will talk more in depth on that in a little bit as well. An occupant means a person refers to a person who holds, possesses, and resides in a lot. An occupant does not have to be somebody that owns the lot. They just have to be somebody that is living there. And I'll talk a little bit more why that's important when we talk about HOPA, or the Housing for Older Persons Act. And then lot just means your property, that piece of property that's platted on the plat. So that is just some very important, those are some important definitions there. So if we just go in, and we are going to send out, I don't know if we've told you, but we will send out a lot of these documents. We have a landscape policy, we have the CCRs, we have some community policies. We will send them out after this. Don't worry about that. So Article 2 talks about community ownership, HOA authority. And sorry for me to looking on the other screen. My screen is over here, so I'm sorry if I'm looking away from the camera if you guys see me. The reason why we have CCRs, and it's also called the declaration. So if I say declaration, that also is our CCRs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Is really to preserve property values and the community appearance, right? We're trying to create a consistent community and something that everybody wants to live in. So that is really why CCRs in any community are developed. Owners, this is pretty basic and generic. They have exclusive ownership of their lot. They have shared use of all our common areas. That includes the amenities, so all of our the pickleball courts, the pools, all those things. And they also have access easements on their property. We'll go into that in a little bit. The HOA has the authority to enforce rules, fine, create new policies, regulate parking, and regulate any common area use. They maintain and repair common areas. They borrow money, encumber common areas, and do certain things. Some things that the HOA does will require approval from members. So it's your guys' job to be a part of that and be there to approve some of the things that maybe the board requests from time to time. Common areas cannot be divided. It just means that any of those common areas that we've created for like the community gardens or the dog park, we can't now partition them off and create a home. So it means those common areas are going to continue to be common areas. I'm going to talk a little bit about Housing for Older Persons Act, called HOPA. The Chipeta Hollows subdivision is operated under the HOPA Act. It means that it is a 55+ community. What that means is that 80% of the homes have to be occupied by at least one resident age 55 or better. So that's where I came back to the occupant definition. Nobody has to own it. You just have to occupy it. Somebody has to be occupied that's 55 or older, and only 80% of those have to be 55. So we can have people in there that are under 55. 20% of those 88 houses could have people under 55 in them. It doesn't lend itself that way. The way that we are marketing and the way and what the people that come, it doesn't market itself that way. So it usually, we don't necessarily have that many. The HOA is required to verify ages. This is through surveys and documentation. They are required to keep a record of that in case there were any type of audits. And then we have to enforce compliance with the Housing for Older Persons Act. That just means that we have to make sure that there are people in there that are 55+. One of the big things when you're selling your house, the biggest thing is that you must disclose that this falls under the HOPA Act and it's a 55+ community. So when you're selling, you just have to disclose that information, but that is it. And then the HOA has authority to enforce those rules, those occupancy requirements. Okay. Article 3 talks about restrictions. And so this is what you can and can't do on lots. Again, pretty basic stuff. Each lot may only have one residence. It means you can't build another ADU on your property or another large structure, a living structure, a structure that you will live in, not a living structure. This next one, all exterior improvements, landscaping, structures, modifications, including your private fenced courtyard, require DRC approval. The reason we do that is just to make sure that there isn't anything too close to other folks' foundations. What we don't want is drainage issues, pooling issues against other structures. So that is just helping support all homeowners to make sure that nothing's going to affect their home that somebody else is putting in the courtyard. So that is the reason we do that. Community standards, they regulate the landscaping and exterior appearance, fencing, lighting, driveway structures. We'll talk a little bit more in detail later about a lot of this stuff. Lots are for residential use only, no short-term rentals. So I know that that has been a question in the past. We do not own short-term rentals, vacation rentals, or timeshares. The minimum lease term is 30 days. So long-term rentals are okay, but it must be over 30 days. Nuisances, hazard, excessive noise, trash, visible, marijuana cultivation is prohibited. Household pets allowed with HOA compliance. So there are pets allowed, and we'll go into that more in detail as well. There is a whole thing on nuisance pets and what that is. And then we'll cover some landscaping things later and maintenance and assessment costs. Courtyard lots, courtyard easements. I know that this is a big discussion. This is an interesting concept. It's not something that's around Grand Junction a lot, but what we have is called courtyard easements. Many of you have talked to Abby about what that is, but your courtyard actually sits on another person's property that requires a courtyard easement. Easement allows owners access for maintenance, repairs, and improvements of their courtyard. If something were an issue on their house that's in somebody else's courtyard. Fences may not be relocated, layouts may not be relocated there. And owners that are entering on an adjacent courtyard that may be their property, but in somebody else's courtyard, has to provide 24 hours notice, use the most direct route, and restore any areas if they happen to damage any areas in their courtyard. Pretty basic there. And again, if you guys have any questions, you can put it in that chat or keep them for the end, because like I said, a lot of these CCRs I'll be covering later more in depth. Membership. So every homeowner automatically becomes a member of the HOA. Every lot gets one voting right. The community is governed by a 3-member minimum board of directors. So we must have a president, vice president, and a secretary. A lot of them have a treasurer as well, or a secretary treasurer together. We will most likely have a 3-member board to start. And a majority of those directors must be qualifying 55 or better occupants. I did say each lot only receives 1 vote. And then the things that the DRC, we kind of talked about this, oversees architectural consistency, community aesthetics, the design guidelines, variances, and approvals, the landscaping approvals as well. The HOA, they adopt rules, they maintain records. The HOA does a lot of things, hire management, and exercise powers necessary to operate the community. I will talk a little bit about management, HOA management companies a little bit later as well. So assessments. All homeowners are required to pay HOA assessments, yearly assessments. There are different types of assessments. There could be a special assessment for unexpected costs. There's capital improvements that may want to be done, and reimbursement for lot-specific assessments. Usually, lot-specific assessments are then given back to that homeowner if there's some negligence there, but those are all the different types of assessments that could happen. HOA budgets are adopted by the board and subject to owner ratification procedures. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means and how owners can it's not an approval process for a budget. So I'll talk a little bit more about what that means on the HOA. HOAs do maintain reserve funds for future repairs and replacements, and that is a lot of what your capital investment goes to when you purchase a home. Is that? Unpaid assessments, they will result in some interest charges and late fees after the second month. They could result in some lawsuits and collection costs. HOA can put a lien on your home against your property if assessments are not paid, and then possible foreclosure action. I've never seen this in our subdivisions, but it is in the CCRs. Insurance and damages. So HOAs are required to hold insurance. We carry the insurance for those common areas and property replacement, things damaged, anything that gets damaged, those types of things. We hold it $1 million general liability coverage. We have some crime coverage and flood insurance if required. I don't know that we are required for flood insurance here. Owners must still maintain their own homeowner and personal property insurance. So for your home, you are still required to get your own homeowner's insurance. HOA insurance is primary coverage for common area claims. I kind of went over that. We also a lot of times carry additional insurance for directors and officers That is an additional insurance that protects anybody that is a director or officer. So the president, that vice president, the secretary, that insurance covers them so that they don't get sued personally. Deductibles, and it may be charged back to the negligent owners. That did kind of cover that a little bit. And then if major damage occurs to HOA property, it must be rebuilt unless 62.5% of owners vote otherwise. Why it's exactly 62.5%, I don't know. I'm assuming that that is a Kiowa law. We are governed under Kiowa, which is a Colorado Common Interest Act. And they kind of govern what HOAs can and can't do. So I'm guessing that that's where that percentage came from. Again, if major damage occurs, owners must be, if major damage occurs to homeowners' property, owners must start rebuilding the damaged property within 120 days. So if somebody happens to, or something happens to the property, running into the side of the house or something, or running into the front of the house, that does have to be rebuilt within 120 days. Okay, declarant and legal provisions. There's a FAQ question later that talks about what a declarant is. And so I'm just going to tell you right now, a declarant is the developer. So right now that's us. It's not BOA Builders. We have a different company that's developing, but it is still us. That is the declarant. So that is declarant. You could also say developer. They retain broad phased development rights. That just means that we can continue developing. We are in the first phase of Chipeta Hollows. It means that we can continue developing the second phase and the third phase until this community is built out. We do appoint the HOA board. I will talk a lot more about that later as well. And we can provide bulk services like internet, cable, security, landscaping, or technology systems. So that is one of the things, like the landscaping, the HOA is providing that for the community. Construction soils and warranty disclosures. There are strong disclaimers in there about expensive Colorado soils, radon gas, fiberglass insulation, environmental conditions. Those are just disclaimers and disclosures that are required that we put in the CCRs. On the soils, owners may not alter grading or drainage in ways that impact foundation or drainage systems. This is a key one. I'll continue to say it. We'll say it a lot more when we get to the landscaping policy discussion as well. And is very important just for the health of your foundation, the health of your home. Construction defect dispute resolution. Disputes must go through notice, inspection, mediation, arbitration before you get sued. So you have to go through all of those. That is pretty standard. The language in this CCRs is not any different than most CCRs. That is how most things happen here. Again, HOA must obtain that 62.5% of owner approval before initiating any construction defect claims against the developer. Again, I don't know where the 62.5% came from, so assuming it's from them. Okay, I am going to pause because I feel like I've been talking a lot so far. That was covering the CCRs. That's the general sense of CCRs. What we also do is we create landscape policies, we create community policies, we create bylaws, and all of those go more in depth. Design guidelines, those go more in depth into what you can and can't do, just because they can change so much more often than the CCRs. You don't want to change the CCRs as much, and so you create these landscape policies that are more easily changeable. They're not recorded. They're really just for the community and the community's use. So I'm going to pause right there only because, yeah, I'm talking too much. I do see Laura Lee says the only yard you have is a courtyard that butts up to someone else's. You have your front yard, you have backyard, you have all of that. It is still your yard. It is just maintained by the HOA. So you do have the courtyard, the yard that you have that is your personal space that you take care of and you maintain and you manage is your courtyard, but the HOA maintains the rest of it. Does that make sense? And Laura Lee, you can come off of mute if you'd like. Anybody else have any questions before I drain on some more? Yes, Stephanie.
And you are muted, so you'll have
Yeah,
to.
to find out which microphone I had to take off. I got 3 of them. I just have a question on those assessments. Are those assessments charged over and above our monthly HOA dues of like $300?
They can be.
Oh.
That has to be board approved. So special assessments don't come up often. A special assessment would come up if, I don't know, a pump broke down and you needed to replace the pump. However, we keep reserves, and in a strong HOA, and that is what we're doing, is creating this strong HOA, we have enough reserves that we can repair that pump without asking for special assessments and those types of things. So the goal is not to ask for special assessments ever, because we're getting and making these reserve funds.
Okay. All right. I was kind of concerned about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually part of every HOA. It is one of those things that just, they don't do it. It depends on how well the HOA is managed, I guess, on whether.
Oh, that leads another discussion. I thank God I don't have HOAs. That I've never had them, except for the annual one for the irrigation. That's all I've ever had to deal with. So
Yeah.
This is a little like, I gotta watch out about this. Just saying. Thank you.
Okay. The Watsons.
I had a question.
Wendy, sorry.
Is there a maximum number on the HOA board?
There is not a maximum number, and I'll get more to that later as well.
Okay.
Wendy, the item about being able to, no short-term lease, but greater than 30 days was okay.
Yep.
I'm assuming the occupant, by your definition, is the lessee, and
Yep.
therefore covered by the 80%.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So I could be over 55. I could decide to lease long-term to someone who's under 55, as long as we maintain the 80%.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to continue on because I'm probably going to answer some questions as we go on some of these things. Oh, bummer. Okay, the landscape policy. I'm going to fix that. It doesn't look so great there. Again, is intended to maintain beauty, quality, long-term value of the community while allowing the homeowners to personalize, enjoy your outdoor spaces. It is just created to maintain and clarify maintenance responsibilities, preserving appearance, functionality, and long-term value. So it is just more in depth. This landscape policy just goes more in depth from what the CCRs are. I'll go again. DRC approval is required before modification or installation of your private courtyard. It seems extreme, but again, it is only to make sure that things aren't going to be an issue with foundations of your house, foundations of your neighbor's house type of thing, drainage, those types of things. So things that are included if you are doing your own landscaping in your private courtyard are trees, turf, just showing locations, types, styles of all of these things. The DRC has 30 days after the completion of the application of that landscape plan, the private courtyard landscape plan, to approve it. Fire pits, water features are allowed with approval. Exterior lighting just must be soft and downcast. Marijuana cultivation may not be visible from outside the home or courtyard areas. And owners are financially responsible for damage caused by landscaping, irrigation pits, grading, and owner modifications. General information there. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these courtyards, the easements. The courtyards are considered anything in your fenced area. So in your fenced area, that is considered your private courtyard. The easements and that maintenance area must remain accessible for maintenance, utilities, drainage, emergency access. So some of the things on your lot that may be considered a maintenance area or have an easement are community pathways, open spaces, utility easements. Everybody has a 14-foot utility easement on their property everywhere in every new subdivision. Drainage areas, maintenance corridors, and ownership of a lot does not eliminate easement rights. So that just means that these easements are still apply to you even if you own the property. That's why they are created, these easements. So if anybody's going to go on your private courtyard, they have to give you 24 hours notice before coming into your courtyard, and they've got to do it only for those specific reasons, maintenance or repair of their home. They can't just go to look. Some prohibited landscape items. Grass is prohibited within 3 feet of foundations. That's mainly for the water concern. We do not want water on those foundations. No invasive grasses. No modification to the association maintain landscaping. That means the front yard. It's mainly the front yard. Homeowners may not modify HOA maintain irrigation either. That's kind of that's duplicated there, but they cannot tie into the irrigation or modify the irrigation that's HOA maintained. I don't know that I said this enough. All landscaping changes, additions, and installation, including private courtyards, require DRC approval. I think that's been on like 4 different slides now. And just to talk a little bit about HOA responsibilities. So HOA maintain areas outside the enclosed courtyards. They maintain the front yards, the open spaces, those pathways, the easement areas, or actually that should say maintenance areas. And community use areas located on homeowners' lots. Those things could be like the pathways, all those things up above. HOA controls the things like lawn mowing, fertilization, irrigation, and scheduling of the timers, seasonal mulching and weeding, shrub and tree maintenance, plant replacement and landscape health, and snow removal from the driveways and the public sidewalks. So the HOA will take care of all of those things. I will tell you that just to talk a little bit more in depth, the timers for your front yards, for everybody's front yards, are not on your property. They are actually at the pump station. So all timers and all scheduling of all of these HOA maintained areas are someplace else, which also means that landscape company, whatever that landscape company is going to be, is going to maintain them. Therefore, if there are dead plants, that is on them to maintain and review and make sure that those plants are getting watered. The only issue is if there is some kind of negligent issue where you could see some poisoning or picking of your weeds or picking of your plants or shrubs. So homeowner's responsibility on your guys' lot. So homeowner responsibility on those association maintained areas. So something you're not maintaining, we still want you to report leaks, broken equipment, or dead landscaping. Keep trash and debris cleaned. Do not obstruct landscape activities, and do not apply fertilizers, pesticides, chemicals on association maintained landscaping. So your responsibilities in your private courtyard, you have your own watering and monitoring of your landscaping back there. Required to keep your landscaping healthy and clean, prevent drainage, roots, vegetation damage to homes, fences, utilities, or sidewalks. Maintain your courtyard improvements, prevent drainage and grading issues, and obtain that written approval. Again, before modifications. You guys are going to get sick of me saying that one. Homeowners are able and can contact any landscape service to maintain their courtyard at their own cost. If you don't want to maintain your courtyard and what that looks like, you definitely can contract that out as well. Just to talk a little bit about your private courtyard, you will have your own timer and your own scheduling inside of your courtyard. That will be hooked up to city water, and it will have a backflow preventer, and that will be ready and available for you to hook up your landscaping. So your landscaping inside of your private courtyard will not be tied to irrigation water, will not be tied to OMID's irrigation water. All HOA maintained areas are tied to OMID's irrigation water, but the private courtyards are not. Homeowners may not relocate those courtyard fences and gates. When we build, we will put gates and fences up for you, and those cannot be relocated. Block those easement access, create drainage or irrigation problems. A lot of this is duplicated. Attach items to neighboring homes and fences. So you cannot attach items, even though they're the side of their house is in your courtyard. You may not attach items to that house or store visible clutter. Okay, that was a lot about the landscaping. I'm gonna stop because that's probably going to get a lot of questions, and I know Abby has been answering some of those. What other things can I answer that Abby has not answered in there? And Abby, do you know any that I need to answer?
One that Laura Lee said in here is, are the fire pits restricted to gas only? Is a wood fireplace out in the courtyard prohibited?
No, I believe wood is okay as well.
Mm-hmm. And then I answered the other questions that she had. But yeah, if anyone else has a question, Stephanie, it looks like you have something.
I'm just wondering why the irrigation isn't tied to the courtyard area since it's already there.
I don't know. I would have to ask my husband who did the landscape plan. I'm sorry, that one we're gonna have to get back to you on.
Yeah, ask them to do it, please. Why?
Yeah,
why
I know it won't be done because I don't know if it was the pump that can't handle it or the timer. I don't know entirely, so I'm gonna have to find out.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions on landscaping policies at all, or fencing?
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
So in back to the question about the wood fire pits. So how close are these courtyards to each other?
They can be they're anywhere from 10 to 20 feet, and it all depends on the house that you get. So it's hard to say because depending on the house and the house that's next to you, depends on what your courtyard and the size of your courtyard is going to be. At minimum, it's 10 feet, but they go up from there.
I'm sort of surprised you would allow wood fires because being an RV person, the most irritating thing is to smell other people's smoke.
Yeah, let me verify that.
Okay.
You're correct. So let me verify that a little bit more. We'll put
'cause
that on the to-do list.
We've learned that the smoke only goes where nobody wants it.
That's true. There are some nice solo stoves, the fire smokeless ones.
That suck, and those might be better for people.
Yeah.
So that brings a question also. Is this a smoke-free area, or are people allowed to smoke cigarettes?
There's nothing prohibited on smoking.
Okay, thank you.
For cigarettes, yeah.
I mean, we can do that on our common areas. We can limit that. We cannot limit that on your property, on your personal property.
Okay.
Yeah, and another thing to mention to you, Laura Lee, too, with the courtyard question that you had and the spacing between homes is if you are on a corner lot, you wouldn't have a home next to you necessarily because your courtyard patio would face outwards towards the street. So that would be the one exception is if you are on a corner lot, then you do not have a home that encloses your courtyard. You would have fencing around your whole patio area.
But then it would face the street. Is that what you're saying?
It would face the street, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions before we move on?
So, okay, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm sorry. I do want to comment on that wood fired stuff. I can't stand it. If somebody's living next door to me, it wakes me up out of a dead sleep. And I've had that to neighbors before in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's in the summertime. And I would have, even if your windows are closed.
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive to smoke of any, I can't even have an incense burning.
Yeah. Thanks for the comment. We'll look into it a little bit more. I'll see. Like I said, I'll look into it a little bit more on what we actually have in there.
Stephanie, I'll make sure you're my neighbor.
Oh, well, you're gonna have wood burning. You would burn your wood burning fire pit.
Okay, I'm gonna get going a little bit quicker here. I don't want to waste everybody's time. So the community policies, it's another policy, but it's just kind of overarching. It's an overarching policy here. It does say all personal property must be stored inside of your garage. That mainly refers to like trash cans and those types of things. And I don't know, other stuff that may just be sitting out. We don't want personal property sitting out. Exterior decorations, alterations require DRC approval. That might be the 7th. If you guys were or maybe 9th time I've now said this. So if you were keeping track. Specific decorative standards. Holiday decor is allowed only during limited time frames. So it's from Thanksgiving to January 7th, as when those are approved. There's one approved front porch flag holder per home. That one front porch holder can have 2 offshoots. I've seen them before to hold actually 2 flags. And wreaths are limited to the front door only. Some prohibited items, yard ornaments and statues, wind chimes, bird feeders, and these are things outside of the courtyard. So these are things in your front yard that are prohibited. Clotheslines, artificial flowers, and some swing sets. There's really just to narrow a few of them down there. Window coverings that are visible to the outside need to be that white, off-white, beige, or light gray, kind of a pretty neutral color if seen on the outside. That's not true. So this next one's not true. We changed. The garage sales and door-to-door solicitation is prohibited. Solicitation is prohibited. Garage sales are not prohibited. Garage sales are limited to 1 a year per household with approval by the board. So I will change that before we send that out. Pod storage is allowed for max of 5 days on the driveway. And surveillance cameras and doorbells do require HOA approval and cannot invade neighbors' privacy. The policy will go a little bit more in depth on that when we send it out. Pets, parking, some vehicle stuff here. Maximum of 3 household pets. If you are if you have 4 pets already when you move in, you may have 4 pets. They must be leashed, supervised, cleaned up after, no tethering pets outside, and they must not become a nuisance. We have an entire area of discussion about nuisance pets. We will always refer back to either the city or the county on what what a nuisance pet is, and they require certain things like no barking for so many hours and after certain hours and those types of things. No overnight parking of boats, RV trailers, large trucks, which are over 1 ton, or commercial vehicles in the driveway, except for RVs and loading, some of that recreation vehicle loading. You can park those up to 48 hours for loading and unloading. Nothing longer than the length of the driveway, and it may not block the sidewalk. Guests and residents, their overnight parking, and it's limited in the commons. I should say residents, it's limited in the common spaces. There are 7, I believe, parking spaces at the community center. The guests can park there a max of 4 nights out of the entire month, but no vehicle can stay there longer than 48 hours consecutively. Inoperable vehicles will be towed, and there's no vehicle repair work except for minor things if you get a flat or minor repair of vehicles in the neighborhood. Some amenities and clubhouse rules. There goes a lot more in depth on these amenity rules in the actual clubhouse policy, but these are high level. Amenities are for all the residents in good standing, and accompanied guests. A guest must be accompanied by the resident. The HOA may suspend amenity privileges and rules for unpaid dues. So if you haven't paid your dues, we don't need to allow you into these amenities. The clubhouse can be rented. So the clubhouses can be used for anybody at any time. That is public access for anybody in the community. But you can also rent out the clubhouse. There is a reservation required. It's a max of 4 hours, maximum of 30 guests. A $200 refundable deposit and a $50 rental fee right now. Events and noise must stop at 10 p.m. It goes more in depth where the rentee must bring all of their own items as far as towels and napkins and you know, all of the utensils, those types of things, but the actual facility is available for rental. Pool will be open from dawn to dusk. There is no lifeguard. Max of 3 guests per household. No alcohol, smoking, glass, private pool parties, those types of things in the pool. Pickleball will be open 8 to 8. That will probably change based on our hours, so we might want to say dusk to dawn as well. There are no lights on the pickleball court, and 1 hour limited during the peak demand. So that's that. The golf simulator, oh, this is changed to 2 hours for the session. Reservations, and then 2-hour session maximum. The fitness center will be open 24/7. No one under 18 on the equipment, and max of 2 accompanied guests there at the fitness center. Okay, I'm gonna stop again. Those are some general community things before we go into the FAQ, because the FAQ is going to probably answer a lot of questions as well. Does anybody have any questions about those community specific, maybe amenities or items?
Hello, it's me again. On those ornament things in the front yard, what if you just have a little tiny one that's made out of concrete? Like a little bunny or something. It's not real big. It's not gonna be.
Oh, the statues.
It's a little, yeah, it's a little concrete statue. I've got 2 of them now.
Yeah, currently, so homeowners can change the community policy, but currently the policy states that they're not allowed.
Can you have plants out in front?
Well, there will be plants, and there is
like portable
potted
kind of
plants.
plants.
Yes, you can put potted plants out front.
Yes, okay, because I only had these 2 little statues, but you could put them out in the backyard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. Any other questions before we move along? I know some people already put some questions in the chat here. The pool will not be heated year round. It will be closed during winter time. Guests can park in your driveway. They can use street parking. They could park in your driveway as well. The street parking is regulated by the city, so it's usually a 72-hour rule to be parked there, but guests can park there or in your driveway. Pickleball courts, we will have one pickleball court, and that will be near the clubhouse. Like Wendy said, it won't have stadium lights or anything like that, so it'll just be open during the daytime, during the daylight hours. Awesome. So I will just move along to our most frequently asked questions here. And if you guys have any more questions, we'll address them afterwards. The HOA fees currently, they are $300 a month. And there is, Wendy kind of touched on it earlier with our reserve fund. So there is a one-time capital deposit. If you are part of the Founders Club, that would be our first homeowners in the community. You do get 50% paid by us, by BOA Builders. So it would be $800. The normal capital one-time deposit is $1,600, and that does go towards our reserve funds if we ever needed to make a larger repair for the community. So Wendy covered this a little bit as well, but what do the HOA fees cover? All of your landscaping and maintenance that's in your front yard. So that would be your front yard, anything that's maybe along the back side of your yard. We will take care of all of the snow removal on sidewalks and driveways in the community. They will maintain all the amenities, the pool, the dog park, any common areas in the outside. So you are only responsible for what is within your fenced yard space, your courtyard patio. The $800 capital deposit, again, that does go to the reserve fund. So if we ever needed to make a large repair in the community, HOAs do maintain a reserve fund of around 10% of their annual operating budget. And so that's where these numbers have come from. How often can these fees increase and by how much? We do get this question quite a bit. There is not necessarily a minimum or maximum, but they can increase annually. So it would be once a year. This budget would be presented to the board of directors and reviewed by all homeowners, and you would have the chance to reject that.
And I just want to bring this up because I did talk a little bit more about this. At that annual meeting, when a budget is presented, it is not approved by members. It's not approved by the board. It is rejected by homeowners, by the members. So the board would present the budget and it has to be rejected by a certain number of folks. And that is what also it shows the dues and all of that information. So I just wanted to kind of clarify how that process works. It's a little bit different than other approval processes.
Yeah. And that last portion here is a little bit repetitive too. We've kind of talked quite a bit about the reserve funds, and if there were a large repair needed in the neighborhood, that we would first be pulling from that fund before raising any dues in the community.
Abby, question.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the internet being covered by the monthly fees, or doing something, on
Yeah, the internet will not be included in the monthly fees or anything, but we will have Spectrum in the neighborhood. So that'll be the internet provider in the neighborhood. And so you would set it up directly with them. Perfect. So what can the HOA regulate? Again, we kind of covered this already, but this is one of the questions we get most often. Exterior changes, if you wanted to paint your garage door or something like that. If you wanted to change landscaping in your courtyard, your backyard area. If you wanted to add a shed or something like that to your yard, you do need approval from the HOA for that. They, of course, have access through those easements that we talked about a little bit earlier. And of course, all the common areas, amenities, the pool, the pickleball court. How many homeowners are allowed on the board of directors? There are 3 required. Wendy went over that earlier. The president, vice president, secretary. There is no maximum amount. Declarant, again, that would be us as the developer, kind of interchangeable there. We will elect 1 homeowner to be on the board once 25% of the community is sold. And then we will also be providing a full turnover of the HOA when it's 75% of the community being sold out. So that's when they would actually take over fully at that point. And I just touched on this after Alan's question, but the internet provider available at Chipeta Hollows will be Spectrum. It is fiber internet. The HOA managed by BOA Builders for right now. We will be turning it over again at that 75% over to an outside company to manage.
Oh, Abby, I was gonna say before that, so the HOA management company is different than turning it over to the board. So we are the board and we have to turn, so right now the declarant is on the board and we as the declarant have to turn over the board of directors to the homeowners. But the HOA management company is hired by the board to manage the HOA, oversee all of the accounting, oversee the approvals, the DRC, a lot of those things. And we will do that long before the 75%. So most likely when 10 to 20 units are sold, when it's just more feasible to hire them to manage.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, and Red Leaf HOA Management is who we're looking at currently. They manage one of our other communities, the Shadow Mesa community that quite a few of you have seen. So that'll likely be who will be managing Chipeta Hollows HOA as well. Declarant, we did kind of chat about this already. That is BOA Builders as the developer. We have ownership of the lots prior to when you actually would own your home and close on your home. And so we own it up until that point when you close on the home.
Abby, with the hiring of the management company, what do we expect that impact to be on percentage wise on the monthly fees?
So kind of everything that we've covered so far, that would apply whether we are managing it or the other Red Leaf HOA management company is managing it. So either way, it's going to go through the board of directors for the community if there were an increase in fees. And then, like Wendy had said earlier, the homeowners have the opportunity to reject the increase of those fees.
No, sorry, it was more to cover the cost of the management company. You know, we've had a number of different management companies here in our HOA, and depending on the service they provide, it can impact the fees. Do you have any idea when it becomes managed by a third party and what the additional cost might be?
Yeah, I'll take that. So it's not, so that's kind of the thing where I said it's not necessarily on that slide that says it's not financially feasible right now. It's financially feasible more when we get 10 to 20 units. I don't know the exact costs right now because this is a neighborhood unlike anything we've done in the past. So I don't have the specific costs of that. I don't know. Currently, it's usually a per door rate, and I think it's somewhere between $9 and $13 per household, per property, per month for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then see if you want to go to the next slide, Wendy. I think we covered everything there. So this would be the last kind of set of the most frequently asked questions that we have got. How do you become a board member? You would just let your current board of directors know. All of the contacts are provided for the board at the time of closing on your property. So that's part of the new home orientation meeting that we have. We give you a list of all the contacts you would need for setting up utilities, subcontractors if you ever wanted to hire out an electrician or something like that. And then you would have all the contacts for our team, our site superintendent, and the board of directors for the community. So right now it would be us. And then again, after maybe 10 or 12 homes are sold in the neighborhood, then it would be transferred over. So how do I sell my home? Do buyers need approval? And Wendy kind of touched on this earlier too, talking about the HOA Act, the Housing for Older People. So selling is the same as any normal home sale as long as they are following the community rules and the HOA. act as well. So you must follow those guidelines, which again requires that 80% or more of the community is 55 or better. And of course, the community rules. Whoever moves into your home needs to follow all of the clubhouse rules, landscaping rules, and stuff like that. So besides the community rules and restrictions, it would be like selling any home. Are there rules against pets? Wendy did cover this a little bit. 3 pets allowed per household, dogs and cats. No livestock or chickens or anything like that are allowed in the neighborhood. And of course, if you are moving in and you have that 4th pet, it would be grandfathered in, and we allow the 4th pet. Can I rent out my home? We covered this a little bit earlier too, but this is a question we get quite a bit. Long-term rentals allowed only, so that's 30 days or more. There will be no VRBO or Airbnb type of homes in the neighborhood. And does the HOA allow street parking? So we actually do not regulate street parking. That is something that the city regulates, and their rule that they have is that you cannot be parked on the street for more than 72 hours. A lot of times they don't necessarily enforce it unless there is maybe a inoperable vehicle or something like that sitting, and then they would come out and put a notice to move the vehicle within 72 hours. But your guests can park on the street. You can park on the street as long as it's not staying there indefinitely or for longer than 72 hours. So yeah, I know we covered a whole lot of information today, and we did answer questions throughout, but if any other questions came up, let us know now and we'll get to those. I know we have quite a few questions in our chat over here, and it looks like Wendy got to those, but let us know if you need clarification.
Abby, it's Alan again. So I saw the numbers for phase 1 and the numbers sold. Are you happy? Are you tracking to expectations in terms of interest in the community and that being converted to actual sales?
Yes, yeah, we are. So there are 32 homes total in that first phase. 31 of them are available since we have our model home there. Right now we have 3 of them that are under construction, and we are currently building for people. And then 2 of them we are building as homes that are going to be available and ready in June that are for sale. And then we have lots of interest in other lots right now, but they aren't sold quite yet or anything. But
I was gonna say, how many appointments did you have today, Abby? She has appointments every day.
yeah, I will say there's lots of interest in certain lots in the neighborhood that'll probably be unavailable in the near future. So with our model home grand opening coming up and stuff like that as well, people are really excited, and a lot of people have been waiting to see homes out there too. So,
yeah. And that brings up a good point. If you guys want to come to our model home grand opening, it's June 6th at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And you guys are all welcome to come. It will be staged, ready to go, beautiful, landscaped, all of the things. And we would look forward to seeing y'all.
You guys probably received an invitation for that already, but we'll send you reminders in case you forget. We'll have local food and drinks and a live band there, and it'll be a really great time to come and check out the community and see a home finish with landscaping around it. So yeah, definitely let us know if you'd like to attend and RSVP. You could email me or text me. I know most of you have my number already. Yeah, any other questions?
I see it. So Laura Lee says, can any of the floor plans be modified to accept an RV garage? No, not right now.
There is a lot of RV storage nearby, and that's one of the reasons we decided not to have RV parking and storage in the community. Is there's quite a few different locations within a couple miles from the neighborhood for storage. Awesome. Any other questions before we head off? Well, thank you for joining, everybody, and we will be sending a recap of everything that we covered. So if a question comes up later on as you review some of our policies more in depth, let us know if you have questions. We're happy to answer it. But But yeah, we hope to see you at our grand opening event. I'll make sure you guys all have reminders for that. And yeah, if other questions come up, feel free to reach out. We're here to help and we're available.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.